Every expert can be faked. Trust becomes fragile. Familiar faces, calm voices, and confident explanations no longer guarantee truth. This uncertainty forces investors to confront a difficult question. If authority can be manufactured, how do you decide who deserves control over your financial future? Technology has blurred the line between real and artificial expertise. Videos look authentic. Voices sound convincing. Credentials appear polished. The problem is not obvious deception. The problem is plausibility that feels safe enough to bypass skepticism. In finance, trust has always mattered. Money decisions rely on confidence in information sources. When trust erodes, decision-making becomes harder, doubt increases, and hesitation replaces clarity. The danger is not believing everything you see. The danger is believing just enough to act. Partial trust leads to commitment before verification, exposing capital to manipulation without obvious warning signs. Expertise used to require visibility and accountability. Today, expertise can be simulated cheaply. This shift removes friction that once protected investors from widespread impersonation and misinformation. Calm delivery increases perceived credibility. Slow speech, measured tone, and professional visuals signal authority. These signals now exist independent of truth, creating a mismatch between appearance and reliability. Financial advice feels safer when it sounds reasonable. Extreme claims trigger suspicion. Moderate, logical explanations disarm it. This subtlety makes modern deception more effective than obvious scams. Algorithms reward engagement, not accuracy. Content that feels reassuring spreads faster than content that challenges assumptions. This amplifies false authority while burying nuance and uncertainty. Investors are conditioned to trust confidence. Confidence suggests competence. When confidence is manufactured, competence becomes harder to identify. The human brain prefers certainty. Ambiguity feels uncomfortable. Fake experts exploit this discomfort by offering clarity where reality remains uncertain. Another risk is repetition. Repeated exposure increases belief. Seeing the same message across platforms creates false consensus, reinforcing trust without evidence. Financial decisions made under perceived authority bypass personal responsibility. Outsourcing judgment feels efficient. When authority is false, this shortcut becomes costly. Historically, trust was built slowly. Reputation required time and consistent outcomes. Digital environments compress this process, allowing authority to appear overnight. Visual realism increases emotional impact. Seeing a familiar face speak convincingly bypasses analytical filters. Emotion precedes logic, especially when money is involved. Deepfakes exploit recognition. Familiar voices trigger comfort. Comfort reduces scrutiny. Reduced scrutiny increases vulnerability. Another challenge is scale. One fake expert can influence millions simultaneously. The reach magnifies damage before corrections emerge. Corrections arrive late. False information spreads quickly. Truth moves slowly. Capital reacts faster than verification. Trust erosion affects legitimate experts too. Skepticism becomes indiscriminate. Genuine expertise struggles to compete with polished imitation. This environment rewards presentation over substance. Appearance becomes a proxy for reliability, even when substance is absent. Investors face cognitive overload. Too many voices compete for attention. Overload leads to shortcuts, not deeper analysis. Shortcuts feel necessary but increase exposure to error. When overwhelmed, investors default to familiarity rather than verification. Trust shifts from evidence to aesthetics. Clean graphics, calm tone, and professional language replace track records and accountability. The cost of misplaced trust compounds. One bad decision creates losses, regret, and reduced confidence in future decisions. Reduced confidence leads to inaction or overreaction. Both harm long-term outcomes. The question is not how to spot every fake. That goal is unrealistic. The question is how to reduce dependence on authority altogether. Reducing dependence shifts focus inward. Decision frameworks matter more than personalities. Frameworks survive deception better than faces. This shift marks a new era of investing. When authority becomes unreliable, behavior matters more than credentials. How advice is framed often reveals more than who delivers it. Sound guidance emphasizes uncertainty, trade-offs, and patience, while deceptive guidance pushes urgency, certainty, and emotional reassurance. Urgency is a warning signal. Real financial decisions rarely require immediate action. Pressure to act quickly bypasses verification and reflection, increasing the chance of costly mistakes driven by fear of missing out. Another red flag is absolute language. Markets are probabilistic, not deterministic. Claims of certainty ignore reality. Honest analysis acknowledges what is unknown and adjusts expectations accordingly. Trustworthy guidance evolves slowly. It changes when evidence changes. Fake expertise often remains rigid, repeating confident narratives even when conditions shift. Accountability differentiates expertise from performance. Genuine experts discuss past errors openly. Fabricated authority avoids scrutiny and reframes mistakes as temporary or irrelevant. Complexity can be misleading. Overly technical explanations may obscure weak foundations. Clear reasoning is often a sign of real understanding rather than oversimplification or jargon-heavy persuasion. Independent verification becomes essential. Relying on a single source increases vulnerability. Cross-checking ideas reduces the influence of any one voice, real or artificial. Track records matter more than predictions. Anyone can sound convincing about the future. Fewer can demonstrate disciplined thinking across different market environments. Another defense is time. Allowing ideas to sit before acting exposes inconsistencies. False narratives often collapse when urgency fades and reflection begins. Emotional neutrality is protective. Advice designed to provoke excitement or fear increases vulnerability. Calm analysis supports better long-term behavior. Financial literacy acts as insulation. Understanding basic principles reduces reliance on authority. The less you outsource judgment, the harder manipulation becomes. Framework-based thinking replaces personality-based trust. Principles endure even when messengers change. Consistency across platforms matters. Genuine expertise remains coherent. Fabricated authority adapts messaging opportunistically to maximize engagement. Another signal is incentive alignment. Advice tied to selling products deserves extra scrutiny. Conflicts distort recommendations subtly but persistently. Transparency strengthens trust. Clear disclosure of assumptions, risks, and limitations signals credibility. Omission signals manipulation. Deceptive experts often promise simplicity. Real finance resists simple answers. Complexity is unavoidable, even when explanations are clear. Repetition without evidence increases belief, but not accuracy. Familiarity should not replace validation. Social proof is easily fabricated. Large followings and endorsements no longer guarantee legitimacy. Popularity reflects algorithms, not truth. Another defense is slowing decisions. Speed benefits manipulators. Patience benefits investors. Question framing matters. Advice that discourages questions should raise concern. Healthy expertise invites scrutiny. Trust shifts from who speaks to how ideas behave over time. Ideas that survive stress deserve attention. Risk disclosure separates realism from persuasion. Honest guidance discusses downside openly. Long-term alignment matters. Advice focused on quick wins often sacrifices durability. Behavioral awareness protects capital. Recognizing emotional triggers reduces vulnerability. Trusting process over personality reduces dependence on authority. Process survives deception better than image. This shift changes how investors evaluate information. The burden of judgment moves inward. That burden is uncomfortable but necessary. In a world of fabricated authority, trust becomes a skill, a feeling. Skills improve with practice. Investors must practice skepticism without becoming cynical, balancing openness to ideas with disciplined verification. Verification replaces faith. Checking sources, assumptions, and incentives reduces dependence on personalities. This shift restores agency to the investor rather than surrendering it to perceived experts. Another safeguard is focusing on first principles. Principles such as risk management, diversification, and patience remain valid regardless of who presents them. Principles outlast personalities. Delayed gratification protects against manipulation. When advice encourages waiting rather than acting, it often reflects realism. Deception thrives on immediacy. Sound judgment tolerates delay. False experts often monetize certainty. Real expertise monetizes patience, education, or long-term alignment. The difference reveals itself over time. Consistency under stress is revealing. When markets fall, fabricated authority often disappears or shifts narratives. Genuine thinking remains steady, acknowledging uncertainty without abandoning principles. Trust also requires accepting limits. No expert can remove risk. Advice promising safety without trade-offs should be questioned. Another defense is understanding base rates. Most strategies failed outperform consistently. Claims of exceptional success demand exceptional evidence. Narrative discipline matters. Stories simplify complexity but distort probability. Investors must separate explanation from persuasion. Financial decisions improve when emotion is acknowledged but not obeyed. Awareness of fear and greed reduces their influence. Building personal frameworks takes effort. Effort discourages blind trust and strengthens long-term resilience. Another protection is diversification of thought. Exposure to different perspectives reduces susceptibility to any single narrative. Time is a powerful filter. Ideas that remain valid over years deserve attention. Short-lived excitement rarely compounds. Avoiding hero worship protects judgment. Heroes attract trust without accountability. Accountability anchors trust to outcomes. Documentation strengthens memory. Recording reasons for decisions exposes inconsistency later, reducing revisionist narratives. Another safeguard is resisting algorithmic amplification. Viral reach reflects engagement, not reliability. Trustworthy guidance rarely discourages independent thinking. Encouraging autonomy reduces dependence. Learning to say, "I don't know," improves decisions. False certainty increases risk. Capital protection begins with information discipline. Poor inputs produce poor outcomes regardless of execution. Markets punish overconfidence repeatedly. Humility improves survival. Trust evolves from performance, not presentation. Presentation fades quickly. Performance accumulates slowly. Another principle is aligning advice with personal goals. Misaligned advice often serves external incentives. Financial independence includes intellectual independence. Thinking clearly is part of wealth preservation. The future will contain more convincing fakes. The solution is not perfect detection but robust decision processes. Robust processes reduce damage when errors occur. Errors are inevitable. Ruin is optional. Trust becomes conditional, not blind. Conditional trust adapts as evidence changes. This approach feels slower. Slowness is protective. Protective behavior compounds quietly. In the end, trust belongs not to experts, but to principles you understand and apply consistently. The safest guide is disciplined behavior repeated over time. When authority can be faked, judgment becomes the real asset. Protecting judgment protects capital. That protection defines modern investing.